Stop overthinking everything, the simple solution. There are moments in life when you feel trapped, not by walls, not by bars, not by anything outside you, but by your own thoughts. You wake up, and before your feet touch the ground, your mind is already running. Did I say the wrong thing yesterday? What will they think of me? What if I fail today? What if I make the wrong decision? You have not even left your bed, but already you are exhausted. The weight is invisible, yet it is heavier than stone. This is the prison of overthinking. Overthinking feels like safety at first. You believe that if you analyze enough, if you prepare for every possible outcome, you can avoid pain. You tell yourself, if I replay the conversation again, I will be sure I was not misunderstood. Or if I plan for every scenario, I will be ready for whatever comes. But the truth is, overthinking does not prepare you. It paralyzes you. It steals your energy, your peace, your ability to act. It traps you in a loop where nothing changes because you are too busy thinking about change to take a single step toward it. I know this prison well. For years, I believed that if I could just think enough, I could control the chaos of life. I replayed mistakes until they burned into my memory. I rehearsed conversations that never happened. I created futures that terrified me, but none of it brought peace. It only deepened the noise. Overthinking did not give me control. It gave me fear. It did not make me strong. It made me fragile. The more I thought, the smaller my life became. Perhaps you know this feeling. Perhaps you have spent nights awake, staring at the ceiling, reliving every choice you made that day. Perhaps you have hesitated on opportunities because you feared making the wrong move. Perhaps you have silenced yourself in conversations not because you had nothing to say, but because you were too busy rehearsing how it might sound. Overthinking is not a small nuisance. It is a thief of life. It robs you of clarity, confidence, and joy. But here is the good news. You are not doomed to live this way forever. Overthinking is not who you are. It is a habit. And like all habits, it can be broken, replaced, transformed. The fact that you are here reading these words means part of you is ready. Part of you is tired of the endless loop. Part of you wants freedom, and freedom is possible. If you stay with me on this journey, you will discover the simple solution. Not complicated theories, not endless exercises, but a new way of seeing and living that cuts through the noise. You will learn how to catch your thoughts before they spiral, how to shift from paralysis to action, how to trust yourself instead of doubting every decision. More than techniques, you will gain a new mindset, one that does not demand perfection before you act, one that does not worship certainty before you live one, that allows you to breathe, to move, to choose. The core philosophy of this book is simple, but radical. Life is not lived in your head. Life is lived in your actions. Clarity does not come from overthinking. It comes from doing. Peace does not come from analyzing. It comes from letting go. Growth does not come from predicting every outcome. It comes from stepping forward even when you are uncertain. The way out of overthinking is not more thinking. The way out is presence, trust, and movement. Imagine standing at the edge of a pool, analyzing the water. You think, what if it is too cold? What if I cannot swim well enough? What if I embarrass myself? You spend hours debating, but you never know the truth until you step in. Life is the same. No amount of overthinking can replace the clarity of experience. You learn by living. You grow by moving. You gain wisdom not by circling thoughts, but by walking through them into action. This book will not promise you a life without fear or uncertainty. That would be a lie. What it will promise you is something greater, the ability to move forward anyway. You will learn to shift your focus from what if it goes wrong to what if it goes right. You will discover the strength that comes not from certainty but from courage. And you will finally taste the freedom of living outside the prison of your own mind. So here at the beginning, I invite you to make a decision. Not a perfect one, not a final one, just a decision to stay open to read, with curiosity to try. Let these words be more than ideas. Let them be sparks, sparks that ignite action, that light the way out of the maze, that remind you that you are capable of more than fear wants you to believe. If you have read this far, chances are you know the pain of overthinking deeply. You are not alone. Millions live trapped in their minds, but you have chosen to seek a way out. That alone is an act of courage. And courage, not certainty, is what builds freedom. Now, as we step into this journey together, hold on to this truth: you are stronger than your anxious thoughts. You are bigger than your fears. And you are ready, not someday, not when you feel perfect, but now. Freedom begins with a single step, and this is yours. If these words spoke to you, pause for a moment. Ask yourself, what decision have I been putting off because of overthinking? Write it down, declare it in the comments. Let this be the first act of breaking free. And if you know someone else trapped in their thoughts, share this with them. You never know, your courage might spark theirs. And remember to subscribe so that this journey continues, not just today, but every day that follows. Chapter 1. Escaping the endless loop of overthinking. There is a pattern the anxious mind knows too well. A thought enters small, ordinary, almost forgettable. Yet instead of passing through, it lodges itself inside you, and soon it multiplies. You replay the moment again and again, as if thinking about it enough times will finally change it. But it does not change. Instead, it grows heavier. What was once a single spark of thought has become a raging fire, and you are caught inside its smoke. This is the endless loop of overthinking. Overthinking is not simply thinking too much. It is thinking in circles. It is replaying the past, rehearsing the future, analyzing the present until every drop of clarity is gone. It feels productive in the beginning. You believe you are preparing, solving, protecting. But the truth is, harsh overthinking does not create solutions. It creates confusion. It does not give you control. It steals it from you. The more you try to think your way to peace, the more peace escapes you. Why does the mind fall into this trap? Because it fears uncertainty more than anything. The brain is wired to seek safety, to predict outcomes, to avoid pain. When it does not know what will happen, it panics. So it tries to think of every possibility, every outcome, every mistake you could make. It is like a guard dog barking at every shadow. But here is the paradox: the more you try to predict life, the less you live it. The more you demand certainty, the less certain you feel. Think about the last time you overthought a decision. Maybe it was something small: what to wear, what to say, whether to accept an invitation. You spent hours weighing every side, running every scenario, searching for the perfect choice. But did all that thinking actually give you peace? Or did it drain you until even the simplest decision felt like carrying a mountain? Overthinking turns life into a test you can never pass, because the perfect answer you are searching for does not exist. I remember a season of my life when overthinking nearly broke me. Each day I woke up with my mind already racing. Should I take this opportunity? What if I fail? What if people laugh? What if I regret it? I replayed conversations until my heart pounded. I wrote and rewrote emails, afraid of saying the wrong thing. I avoided decisions because I could not stop imagining the worst outcomes. And yet, with all this thinking, my life was not moving forward. It was standing still. Overthinking gave me the illusion of effort, but in reality, it was procrastination in disguise. The cruelest part of overthinking is that it convinces you that you are doing something useful. You tell yourself, if I keep analyzing, I will be ready. But readiness never comes. Instead, days pass, opportunities fade, relationships weaken, and you are left with nothing but exhaustion. Overthinking is like rocking in a chair. It keeps you busy, but it takes you nowhere. So how do you escape this loop? The first step is awareness. You cannot break free from a prison you do not see. Begin by noticing when you are spiraling. Do you find yourself replaying the same memory over and over? Do you catch yourself stuck on a decision long after it should have been made? Do you wake at night with your mind running in circles? These are signs that you are no longer thinking, you are overthinking. Awareness shines a light on the cycle and gives you a chance to step out. The second step is interruption. The loop feeds on repetition. To break it, you must interrupt it. This can be as simple as standing up and moving your body, taking a deep breath, writing the thought on paper, or saying out loud, "I have thought about this enough." These small acts remind you that you are not your thoughts, that you have the power to pause the spiral. The third step is redirection. Once you interrupt the loop, give your mind something new to focus on. Action is the antidote to overthinking. Instead of replaying, do something. Instead of analyzing, move. Instead of imagining, act. Even the smallest step, a phone call, a decision, a sentence spoken, creates momentum, and momentum breaks the grip of paralysis. I once met a young man who told me that overthinking had cost him years of his life. He dreamed of starting his own business, but every time he thought about it, his mind flooded with questions. What if I fail? What if I lose money? What if I embarrass myself? He researched endlessly, made plans, rewrote them, scrapped them, started again. Years passed and nothing changed. One day, someone asked him what would happen if you just tried. He realized that the only thing standing in his way was the loop of his own thoughts. He took one small step, launching a simple version of his idea, and though it was imperfect, it worked. He discovered that reality was far kinder than his overthinking mind. Escaping the loop does not mean you stop thinking. Thinking is good. Reflection is necessary. Wisdom comes from pausing and considering. But overthinking is not reflection, it is obsession. It is fear pretending to be wisdom. Escaping the loop means learning to know the difference. Reflection ends with clarity. Overthinking ends with confusion. Reflection moves you forward. Overthinking holds you back. So here is the challenge. The next time you catch yourself spiraling, do not ask, "What if I am wrong?" Ask, "What if I just tried?" Do not wait for perfect clarity before moving. Move and clarity will follow. The mind says think more. Life says live now. Choose life. Overthinking will not disappear overnight. It is a habit built over years. But habits can be broken. Each time you notice the loop and step out of it, you weaken its hold. Each time you choose action over analysis, you strengthen your freedom. Over time, the prison walls crumble, and you discover that life is lighter, clearer, freer than you ever imagined. If this chapter resonated with you, pause and comment below. What is one decision you have been stuck overthinking? Declare the step you will take today to move forward. And if you know someone who is trapped in their own loop of thoughts, share this with them. You may be the spark that sets them free. And remember to subscribe so that together we can keep breaking the cycle of overthinking and step boldly into action, presence, and peace. Chapter 2. When your mind becomes your battlefield. There is a strange kind of exhaustion that no amount of sleep can cure. It is not in your body, but in your mind. It comes from fighting with yourself, from living in constant battle with your own thoughts. Your head feels heavy, your chest feels tight, and even in moments of silence you are not at peace, because inside the war never ends. This is what overthinking does. It turns your mind into a battlefield where you are both the attacker and the victim. You know this war too well. One part of you longs to move forward, to take the risk, to speak the truth. Another part of you slams the brakes, replaying every possible mistake. One part of you whispers, "You can do it." Another shouts, "You will fail." And in this back and forth you grow weary. Life outside passes you by, but inside you are stuck negotiating with a voice that never seems satisfied. Why does the mind attack itself? Because it confuses safety with control. Your brain believes that if it can predict every outcome, rehearse every possibility, protect you from every mistake, then you will be safe. So it launches thought after thought, scenario after scenario, as if building armor. But instead of protecting you, it overwhelms you. The battlefield fills with noise until you cannot hear your own true voice anymore. The cost of this inner war is enormous. Overthinking steals your presence. Even in joyful moments at dinner with loved ones, on a walk under the sky, listening to music, you are elsewhere, caught in battles no one else can see. Overthinking steals your confidence. Every idea is questioned, every step doubted, until even simple choices feel impossible. Overthinking steals your freedom. You are not free to act because you are chained to the constant need to get it right before you move. I remember a time in my life when I lived daily on this battlefield. I would lie awake at night refighting conversations that were already over. I would walk into meetings rehearsing every possible word I might say, and then afterward I would replay everything, convinced I had failed. I was exhausted, not because the world was attacking me, but because I was attacking myself. And here is what I finally realized: the war was unwinnable, because the battle was not against reality, it was against fear. The first step toward peace is recognizing that you cannot think your way out of fear. Fear does not respond to logic. You can argue with it all night, and it will still be there in the morning. Fear is not conquered by winning the argument, it is quieted by changing the relationship. Instead of fighting every thought, you learn to see them for what they are: noise, not commands; clouds, not destiny; shadows, not truth. The second step is learning the power of stillness. On the battlefield of the mind, stillness feels impossible. The thoughts rush in, the panic rises, and you believe you must keep fighting. But imagine a soldier who sets down his weapon, refusing to fire back. Suddenly the battle begins to lose power. Stillness is not surrender to fear, it is refusal to keep feeding it. Stillness is saying, I do not need to solve this thought right now. I will breathe. I will wait. I will not give it my life. The third step is action. Overthinking thrives on delay. It feeds on waiting. The longer you think without moving, the louder the battle grows. But the moment you take action, send the message, make the call, step forward, the battle shifts. Fear loses one of its greatest weapons, the unknown. Action turns imagination into reality, and reality is almost always kinder than the battlefield of your mind. I once knew a woman who spent years overthinking whether to return to school. Every night she fought the same battle. What if I am too old? What if I cannot keep up? What if I fail? She researched programs endlessly, made plans, scrapped them, then made new ones. But nothing changed. One day she decided to take a single step. She filled out the application. That small act ended years of overthinking. She was accepted, she studied, she graduated. Not because she won the battle in her mind, but because she chose to act despite it. Peace is not the absence of fear. Peace is the presence of trust. Trust that you can handle mistakes. Trust that you can rise after failure. Trust that you do not need to know every answer before taking the first step. Trust turns the battlefield into a garden. The same mind that once attacked you can become a place of creativity, clarity, and rest. But it begins with a choice. Stop fighting yourself and start trusting yourself. So let me ask you, where are you still at war with your own mind? What thought do you keep wrestling with? What decision do you keep circling, hoping that one more round of thinking will finally bring peace? The truth is, the peace will not come from more thought. It will come from stepping out of the battlefield. Overthinking is not your destiny. It is a habit, and habits can be broken. Each time you choose presence instead of replay, each time you choose action instead of analysis, each time you choose trust instead of fear, the battlefield grows quieter. Over time, you discover that you were never meant to fight yourself. You were meant to live, to act, to move, to be. If this chapter spoke to you, pause and comment below. What is one battle in your mind you are ready to stop fighting? Declare it. You may inspire someone else to lay down their weapons too. And if you know someone who is weary from overthinking, share this with them. You may be the reminder that peace is possible. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep choosing trust over fear, stillness over chaos, and freedom over battle. Chapter 3. the illusion of control and the weight it carries. Overthinking always wears the mask of control. It convinces you that if you just think long enough, plan carefully enough, prepare thoroughly enough, you will be safe. No surprises, no mistakes, no regrets. It whispers, do not act yet. Wait until you are certain. Wait until every detail is accounted for. Wait until you know exactly how it will end. And so you wait and wait and wait. But life does not bend to the anxious demand for certainty. The world does not stop turning until you are ready. Opportunities do not linger forever waiting for you to think them through one more time. Control, the way overthinking defines it, is an illusion. You cannot think your way into a predictable life. No matter how much you prepare, uncertainty remains. No matter how much you plan, surprises come. No matter how much you analyze, the future will not unfold the way you imagine. The cost of chasing this illusion is heavy. Overthinking steals not just your time, but your peace. Every decision becomes a burden because it is not just about choosing, it is about choosing perfectly. Every action becomes exhausting because you demand certainty before taking a single step. And because certainty never comes, you end up doing less and less, while carrying more and more weight in your mind. I remember a man who once told me he had spent months overthinking whether to move to a new city for work. He listed every possible pro and con, replayed every scenario, even calculated what his life would look like in 5, 10, 20 years, depending on the choice. He believed that if he thought long enough, he could guarantee the right decision. But months passed, the opportunity faded, and he stayed where he was, not because it was best, but because fear disguised as control had frozen him. Later he said, I was not protecting myself. I was trapping myself. This is what overthinking does. It promises safety but delivers paralysis. It promises certainty but delivers regret. The more you chase control, the less in control you feel. Because deep down you know the truth, life cannot be controlled. It can only be lived. The way forward is not in grasping tighter, but in letting go. Letting go of the demand for perfection. Letting go of the belief that you can predict every outcome. Letting go of the idea that mistakes are fatal. Letting go is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is saying, I accept that uncertainty is part of life, but I trust that I can handle whatever comes. That shift alone transforms the weight into freedom. Think of a sailor on the ocean. He cannot control the wind, the waves, the storms. If he waits for perfect weather, he will never leave the shore. But if he learns to adjust his sails to steer through the uncertainty, he can travel far. Life is the same. Control is not about mastering the ocean, it is about mastering yourself within it. Overthinking will tell you that letting go means recklessness, that if you stop planning every detail, disaster will come. But look closer, how many of your fears have actually come true? How many nights have you wasted worrying about futures that never arrived? How many decisions did you paralyze yourself over only to discover later that the consequences were smaller than you imagined? Letting go is not recklessness. It is reclaiming the life you lost in fear. There is freedom in admitting, I do not know what will happen, but I will act anyway. This sentence is powerful. It removes the weight of impossible standards. It opens the door to courage. It reminds you that you were never meant to control the future, you were meant to walk into it. One woman told me that she used to overthink every word before sending a message at work. She rewrote emails dozens of times, afraid of sounding foolish. Hours of her life were lost to this ritual of control. One day, exhausted, she sent an email without rereading it 10 times, and nothing bad happened. Her colleagues responded kindly, professionally, even warmly. She realized that the weight she carried was not the world's expectations, it was her own. From that day forward, she began to practice letting go, and step by step the weight lifted. The key is trust. Trust that you can adapt. Trust that you can rise after falling. Trust that failure is not fatal but formative. When you trust yourself, you no longer need to control everything. You accept that life will surprise you, and instead of fearing it, you welcome it. Because surprises often carry gifts you could never have planned for. So let me ask you, what are you carrying right now that is too heavy? What decision have you been delaying because you are waiting for certainty? What opportunity have you missed because you believed you needed control? Name it, write it, and then dare to release it. The moment you let go, the weight begins to fall away. Remember, peace is not found in control. Peace is found in trust. The future is not shaped by endless thinking. It is shaped by the steps you take. And the more you live, the less you will need to control, because you will discover the truth. Life has always been unfolding in your favor, even when it surprised you. If this chapter speaks to your heart, pause and comment below what is one area of your life where you are ready to release control and take a step forward. Share it. Your courage might inspire someone else to lay down their own weight. And if you know someone who is trapped in overthinking, share this with them. You may be the reminder that freedom is found not in control, but in trust. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep choosing freedom over fear and action over illusion. Chapter 4. The Trap of Endless What-Ifs. The anxious mind has a favorite game. It is the game of what if. It begins innocently, a small question whispered in your ear. What if this does not work? You brush it off at first, but soon another comes. What if I embarrass myself? What if people judge me? What if I regret it? And before long, you are not just asking one. What if you are drowning in dozens? What if I fail? What if I succeed and cannot handle it? What if I choose wrong? What if I am not enough? What if thinking feels like caution, but in truth it is a trap? It convinces you that by imagining every possible scenario, you are protecting yourself. But the truth is harsher. You are not protecting yourself. You are paralyzing yourself. The more you chase the what-ifs, the further you drift from reality. You live not in the world as it is, but in a world of shadows, possibilities, and fears that may never come. The tragedy is that most what-ifs never arrive. Think back to the worries that kept you awake a year ago, 5 years ago. How many of them came true? Very few, and yet your heart suffered as if they were already reality. This is the cruelty of overthinking. It makes you pay the price for disasters that never happen. You bleed for battles you never fight. You mourn for losses you never experience. You live in fear of futures that never arrive. I once spoke with a man who told me he nearly refused the chance to propose to the woman he loved. He said, "My mind kept whispering, what if she says no? What if I am not good enough for her? What if I ruin the relationship by asking?" For weeks he tortured himself with these questions. But one day he realized the deeper truth. The only real what if was this: what if I let fear steal my chance at love? He chose courage, asked her, and she said yes. Looking back, he laughed and said, "I wasted so many nights on ghosts." The power of what if lies in its disguise. It feels responsible, it feels wise, but wisdom does not live in fear, it lives in action. True wisdom is not predicting every possible outcome, but trusting that whatever comes, you will rise to meet it. Life was never meant to be lived in imagined futures. Life is meant to be lived in the present, one step, one choice, one breath at a time. So how do you escape the trap of endless what-ifs? First, you name it. The next time you catch your mind spinning in possibilities, pause and say out loud, "This is a what-if." Naming the thought breaks its spell. It reminds you that you are not in danger, you are in imagination. Second, you counter with a different question: what is real right now? If your mind says, "What if I fail tomorrow?" answer, "Right now I am here. Right now I am safe. Right now I have the strength for this moment." Reality is often far kinder than imagination. By returning to the present, you weaken fear's grip. Third, you replace the paralyzing what if with an empowering one. Instead of "what if I fail?" ask "what if I succeed?" Instead of "what if people judge me?" ask "what if people are inspired by me?" Instead of "what if this goes wrong?" ask "what if this changes everything for the better?" The question does not erase uncertainty, but it shifts your energy from fear to possibility. I once knew a young woman who dreamed of writing a book but never began because of what ifs. What if no one reads it? What if people hate it? What if I am not talented enough? These questions silenced her for years, but one day she asked herself a new one. What if one person reads it and finds hope? That single thought gave her the courage to write. And when her book was finally published, it touched far more than one person. Her story proves this "what if" can either be a prison or a key. It depends on how you use it. The final step is action, because no matter how many what ifs you analyze, nothing changes until you act. And once you act, the power of what if crumbles. Fear thrives in imagination, but reality is stronger. Reality teaches you that even if you stumble, you survive. Even if you fail, you grow. Even if you are judged, you keep moving. Action dismantles fear in a way that no amount of thinking ever can. So let me ask you, what if has been holding you hostage? What dream have you delayed because of shadows in your mind? What opportunity have you let slip away because of questions that never ended? Write it down, name it, and then take one step, just one, into action. Over time, you will see the truth: most what ifs never come. And for the few that do, you are stronger than you feared. You are capable of surviving, adapting, growing. The real danger is not in failing, it is in never trying. The real tragedy is not in being wrong, it is in being silent. The real loss is not in making mistakes, it is in making none, because you never dared to live. If this chapter resonates with you, pause and comment below. What is one what if you are ready to release today? Declare it. Inspire others by showing that fear does not have the final word. And if you know someone trapped in their own questions, share this with them. You may be the voice that frees them. And remember to subscribe so that together we continue breaking free from the trap of endless what ifs and stepping into the freedom of living now. Chapter 5. The cost of indecision and the freedom of choosing. There is a weight heavier than failure. It is the weight of indecision. Failure at least teaches you something. Failure moves you forward even if it hurts. But indecision holds you still. It keeps you circling the same question, replaying the same options, fearing the wrong choice so deeply that you make no choice at all. And in that stillness, life passes you by. Indecision feels safe at first. You tell yourself, "I will wait until I am sure." You delay because you believe certainty will eventually come, but certainty rarely arrives. Instead, days stretch into weeks, weeks into months, and the decision you avoided becomes a ghost that haunts you. You wonder, what if I had chosen? Where would I be now? That regret is sharper than any mistake could have been. Why is indecision so paralyzing? Because the anxious mind equates choice with danger. It believes that if you choose wrong, everything will collapse. It magnifies the consequences, making even small decisions feel like matters of life and death. Should I take this job? Should I speak my mind? Should I pursue this dream? Instead of choosing you, rehearse the options endlessly as if more thinking could save you. But thinking without action becomes a cage. I remember a season of my life when I stood at a crossroads with two opportunities before me. I weighed them for months, convinced that if I chose wrong, I would ruin my future. I wrote pros and cons lists. I asked advice. I prayed. But still, I could not decide. The fear of regret kept me frozen. Finally, in exhaustion, I chose. And here is the truth. It was not perfect. Some things worked, some things did not. But I discovered something far greater than perfection: freedom. Freedom to act, to learn to move. And I realized that the cost of indecision had been far heavier than the cost of an imperfect choice. This is the secret most people miss. It is not the decision itself that shapes your life. Most, it is the courage to decide, because once you decide, you can adjust, you can adapt, you can grow. Life is not about making perfect choices. It is about making choices and learning as you go. Indecision keeps you stuck in fantasy. Decision roots you in reality. Think of it this way. A ship sitting in harbor avoids storms, but it also goes nowhere. Only when it leaves the harbor with all its risks can it discover new lands. Your life is the same. Indecision may keep you safe from mistakes, but it also keeps you safe from growth, joy, and freedom. Safety without movement is not safety, it is stagnation. The freedom of choosing lies not in getting it right every time, but in trusting yourself to handle whatever comes. When you trust yourself, decisions lose their terror. You know you can survive setbacks. You know you can rise from failure. You know that no choice is final, that you can pivot, redirect, begin again. This trust is what transforms decision from a burden into a gift. I once met a woman who had dreamed of starting a business for years but never took the leap. Each time she thought about it, she said, "I am not ready yet. I need more research. I need more time." But deep down, her real fear was making the wrong choice. She stayed in indecision until finally the pain of staying the same outweighed the fear of change. She chose to start. Was it easy? No. Were there mistakes? Yes. But as she looked back, she said, "Even if I failed, completely choosing was worth it. Because for the first time in years, I felt alive." Here is what I want you to hear. The only truly wrong choice is no choice at all. Mistakes can be corrected, failures can be redeemed, regret can be healed. But indecision steals time, and time cannot be returned. Each day you wait, you are giving fear another victory. Each day you choose, you are reclaiming your freedom. So how do you practice the freedom of choosing? Begin small. Do not wait until you face a life-altering decision. Start with the daily ones you normally hesitate over. What to eat, what to wear, what to say. Instead of replaying endlessly, decide quickly. Feel the weight lift as you realize nothing catastrophic happens. Then gradually practice with larger decisions. Each choice builds confidence. Each act of courage weakens fear. The anxious mind will still whisper, "But what if you regret it?" And the answer is simple. Then I will learn. Then I will adjust. Then I will rise again. Regret is not fatal. Regret is a teacher. But regret from indecision, the regret of never trying, is the heaviest of all. So let me ask you, what decision have you been avoiding? What choice are you circling, waiting for perfect clarity before you move? Write it down. Name it. And then ask yourself, what would freedom choose here? Take that step. Even if it is imperfect, even if it is messy, take it. Because choosing is not about control. It is about courage. 1 year from now, you will look back, and the pain will not come from the decisions you made. It will come from the ones you never dared to make. Do not let indecision steal another moment from you. Choose, step, live. If this chapter resonates with you, pause and comment below. What is one decision you are ready to make today, instead of delaying any longer? Declare it. Inspire others to do the same. And if you know someone trapped in indecision, share this with them. You may give them the courage they have been waiting for. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep breaking free from indecision and stepping into the freedom of choosing. Chapter 6. The 2-minute rule, breaking the cycle before it begins. Most spirals of overthinking begin with something small. A simple email that you hesitate to send. A phone call you delay. A task you keep putting off because you are waiting for the perfect moment. The action itself is often easy, but hesitation turns it into a mountain. The longer you wait, the more your thoughts multiply, and before you know it, something that could have been handled in 2 minutes consumes hours or even days of your life. This is the hidden power of the 2-minute rule. It is deceptively simple. If something will take less than 2 minutes, do it now. Do not think about it. Do not plan it. Do not replay it. Just act. Send the message. Wash the dish. Open the document. Make the call. By acting before your thoughts have a chance to spiral, you break the cycle before it begins. Overthinking feeds on delay. Delay gives your mind time to invent excuses, to magnify consequences, to inflate the task until it feels overwhelming. But action starves the cycle. Once you move, the loop cannot grow. The 2-minute rule is not just about efficiency. It is about reclaiming your peace. It teaches your mind a new habit. Instead of spinning, you act. Instead of spiraling, you move. I remember a young man who told me he had nearly quit his job because of overthinking. Every day, small tasks piled up and he felt crushed. He would stare at his to-do list paralyzed because each item carried a weight of imagined consequences. But then he discovered the 2-minute rule. He began by tackling the tiniest tasks immediately. Send an email, 2 minutes. Confirm a meeting, 2 minutes. Clean his desk, 2 minutes. To his surprise, not only did his list shrink, but his anxiety softened. He said, "It was not the tasks that broke me. It was the thinking about them. Once I acted, the weight disappeared." The beauty of the 2-minute rule is that it builds momentum. Action creates energy. Each small choice reinforces the truth that you are capable, that life is not as heavy as your thoughts make it. And momentum is contagious. When you complete one 2-minute task, you often find the strength to move on to the next. Soon, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable because you have shifted from hesitation to action. But the rule is not only for tasks, it is for decisions too. When you catch yourself stuck in the loop of should I not, ask yourself, what is the smallest step I can take in 2 minutes? Maybe it is writing a draft instead of perfecting the final version. Maybe it is making one call instead of solving the entire problem. Maybe it is speaking one sentence of truth instead of planning the perfect speech. Each 2-minute step breaks the paralysis of overthinking and opens the door to progress. The anxious mind will resist. It will tell you that 2 minutes is not enough, that you need more time, more preparation, more certainty. But notice how often those words have kept you stuck. The truth is, life rarely requires as much preparation as fear insists. More often, it requires courage in small bursts. 2 minutes of courage can shift the course of an entire day. Think of a door rusted shut. It does not open with one grand push, it opens with repeated small movements. Each push loosens the hinges until finally it swings wide. The 2-minute rule works the same way. Each small act loosens the grip of overthinking. Each choice teaches your mind that action is possible. And over time, the door of your life opens wider than fear ever allowed. I once met a woman who struggled with starting her fitness journey. Every day she told herself she needed to work out for an hour, but the thought of an hour felt overwhelming, so she did nothing. Then she tried the 2-minute rule. She told herself, I will just put on my shoes and move for 2 minutes. Some days 2 minutes was all she did, but most days 2 minutes turned into 10, then 30, then 60. She laughed and said the hardest part was never the workout, it was starting. 2 minutes was the bridge I needed. This is the heart of the rule: start small and let momentum carry you further. Overthinking dies in the face of movement. The spiral cannot grow if you never give it time to begin. So let me ask you, what task, what decision, what action have you been delaying because of overthinking? What could you do in 2 minutes to break the cycle right now? Write it down. Do it. Notice how light you feel once it is done. That lightness is proof that the weight was never the task. It was the delay. Over time, the 2-minute rule does more than clear tasks. It rewires your mind. It teaches you that hesitation is the enemy, not failure. It reminds you that clarity comes from action, not thought. It gives you back your life one small step at a time. If this chapter speaks to you, pause and comment below. What is one 2-minute action you will take today to break the cycle of overthinking? Declare it. Your step may inspire someone else to take theirs. And if you know someone paralyzed by small tasks, share this with them. You may give them the key to freedom. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep choosing movement over paralysis and freedom over fear. Chapter 7. The 80% Rule: Embracing Progress over Perfection. One of the greatest lies overthinking tells is that perfection is possible. It insists that before you act, before you speak, before you create, you must have every detail flawless. It whispers, wait until you are fully ready. Wait until you know for certain. Wait until the plan is perfect. And so you wait, you polish, you revise, you hesitate. But while you wait for perfect, life moves on without you. The truth is, perfection does not exist. There will always be a flaw, a mistake, an adjustment to be made. The project will always be improvable. The conversation will always have something you could have said better. The plan will always have unknowns. To demand perfection before action is to demand the impossible. And in chasing it, you lose the very thing you are chasing: progress. This is where the 80% rule becomes freedom. The rule is simple. If something is 80% ready, do it. If you are 80% prepared, step forward. If the work is 80% complete, release it. Why? Because the final 20% is often where overthinking hides. It is the endless tinkering, the constant doubting, the delaying, disguised as preparation. That last 20% can consume years of your life if you let it. But if you accept 80%, you move. You act, you learn, and you grow. I once knew a man who dreamed of launching his own podcast. He bought equipment, researched endlessly outlined topics, but he kept delaying, telling himself, I just need to improve the sound quality. I just need to practice more. I just need to rewrite my notes one more time. Months turned into years, and still nothing was released. Then one day, a friend challenged him, why not publish your first episode now, even if it is not perfect? Reluctantly, he did. The sound was uneven. The editing was clumsy. But people listened. They cared about his message, not the imperfections. Over time, he improved. Looking back, he said, if I had waited for perfect, I would still be waiting. 80% was enough. The 80% rule is not about lowering your standards. It is about raising your freedom. It teaches you that progress matters more than perfection. That growth comes not from flawless beginnings, but from messy attempts. That life rewards those who move, not those who wait forever, polishing what was never meant to be perfect. Think of a child learning to walk. They do not wait until their balance is perfect before they try. They stumble, fall, rise again. And in stumbling, they grow stronger. Imagine if a child refused to take a step until they were certain they would never fall. They would never walk at all. Adults forget this truth. They demand perfection before movement, forgetting that it is movement that makes perfection possible. The anxious mind fears imperfection because it fears judgment. It believes that mistakes expose weakness. But here is the deeper truth. People are not inspired by your perfection. They are inspired by your courage. They connect with your authenticity, your willingness to try, your ability to rise after falling. Perfection distances you. Humanity draws others near. So how do you apply the 80% rule? Start by asking yourself, is this good enough to move forward? Not perfect, not finished forever, just good enough to take the next step. If the answer is yes, act. Release the project. Share the words. Make the choice. The rest can be refined later. Next, practice reframing mistakes. Instead of seeing them as proof you should have waited, see them as proof you are alive. Mistakes mean you tried. Mistakes mean you learned. Mistakes mean you dared to live beyond fear. The only true mistake is never moving at all. I remember a young woman who wanted to start painting but hesitated because she was not good enough. For months, her brushes stayed clean, her canvas blank. Then she discovered the 80% rule. She gave herself permission to paint badly, to create work that was messy, flawed, unfinished, To her surprise, the more she painted, the better she became. She laughed and said, "My first paintings were terrible, but they were necessary. Without them, I would never have created the pieces I love today." This is the gift of 80%. It frees you from paralysis and invites you into growth. It shifts your focus from outcome to process, from fear to courage, from waiting to living. So let me ask you, where are you holding back, waiting for perfection? What dream have you delayed because you are polishing the final 20%? What conversation, project, or decision is sitting unfinished because you fear it is not flawless? Write it down, and then give yourself permission to act at 80%. The truth is, 80% often feels like 100 to everyone else. The imperfections you fear are rarely noticed, and even if they are what make you real, relatable human. Perfection may impress for a moment, but courage inspires for a lifetime. One day you will look back, and you will not regret the imperfect actions you took. You will regret the perfect ones you never dared to try. Do not let fear steal that from you. Choose progress, choose courage, choose 80%. If this chapter resonates with you, comment below what is one area where you will choose progress over perfection this week. Declare it, inspire others to do the same, and if you know someone trapped in the chase for flawless, share this with them. You may be the reminder that freedom is found in 80%. And remember to subscribe so that together we continue building lives of courage, authenticity, and forward motion. Chapter 8. The action-first mindset, moving before the fear takes hold. Overthinking always waits for the perfect moment. It says, do not act until you are ready. Do not begin until you feel confident. Do not speak until you know exactly what to say. It convinces you that once you feel safe, certain, and prepared, then you can move. But here is the cruel trick: that moment almost never comes. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. The truth is, confidence does not precede action. Confidence is born from action. Clarity does not come from thinking, it comes from doing. Readiness is not something you wait for, it is something you create. This is the heart of the action-first mindset: move before the fear takes hold. Step forward even when your hands tremble and your heart races, because once you act, the fear begins to shrink. The anxious mind resists this. It insists that action without certainty is reckless. But think of your own life. How many times did clarity arrive only after you acted? How many times did you learn only by trying, failing, adjusting, and trying again? You cannot think your way into wisdom. Wisdom is carved through experience. I remember a man who dreamed of writing a book. For years he thought about it, made outlines, read other books for inspiration, but he never wrote. He said, "I am waiting until I feel ready." Then one day someone challenged him, "What if you write one page today, even if it is terrible?" He did. That one page became another, then another. Months later the book was finished, not because he felt ready, but because he acted before fear silenced him again. Action is the enemy of fear. Fear thrives in hesitation. The longer you wait, the stronger it grows. But when you move quickly, you cut off its oxygen. You refuse to give it the time it needs to spiral. The action-first mindset is not about recklessness. It is about momentum. It is about teaching your brain that movement is possible even when certainty is not. Think of a plane taking off. The most fuel is used in the beginning, pushing through resistance, breaking gravity's pull. Once in the air, the journey becomes smoother. Action works the same way. The hardest part is starting. Once you begin, momentum carries you. Fear may still whisper, but it no longer controls you. The action-first mindset also frees you from the myth of perfection. When you act quickly, you stop demanding that every step be flawless. You accept imperfection as part of progress. You learn that mistakes are not signs of weakness. They are steps toward strength. The person who waits for perfection never begins. The person who acts imperfectly grows stronger with every attempt. I once met a young woman who longed to speak on stage but was paralyzed by fear. She imagined forgetting her words, being laughed at, failing publicly. For years she waited for confidence to come. It never did. Then she tried something new. She signed up for a small event and committed to showing up no matter how afraid she felt. On the day her voice shook, her hands trembled. But she spoke. The audience applauded not because she was flawless, but because she was real, brave, alive. Later she told me the confidence came after the speech, not before. I had it backwards my whole life. This is the lesson. Do not wait for the feeling. Let the action create the feeling. You do not need to feel brave to act. You need to act to feel brave. You do not need to feel ready to begin. You need to begin to feel ready. So how can you practice the action-first mindset in your daily life? Start small. The next time you feel hesitation creeping in, move. Send the message before you rewrite it 10 times. Speak the thought before you silence yourself. Begin the project before you know exactly how it will end. Action is the antidote to overthinking, and small actions build the habit of courage. The anxious mind will argue. It will say, "What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if it goes wrong?" And your answer must be, "Then I will learn. Then I will rise. Then I will try again." Fear predicts disaster, but reality is often kinder, and even when it is hard, you will discover that you are stronger than you imagined. Think of your life 1 year from now. If you keep waiting for readiness, how many dreams will remain untouched? How many opportunities will pass by? How many regrets will you carry now? Imagine the opposite 1 year of small actions taken even when you felt unready. Imagine the momentum, the growth, the freedom. The future you long for does not come from waiting. It comes from moving. So let me ask you, what is one action you have been delaying because you are waiting to feel ready? What step can you take today? Imperfect, messy, uncertain, that will move you forward. Write it down. Do it. And notice how the act itself weakens fear's grip. One day you will look back, and the moments that defined your life will not be the ones where you felt safe and ready. They will be the ones where you stepped forward trembling, uncertain, afraid, and discovered freedom on the other side. If this chapter speaks to you, comment below what is one action you will take this week. Even if you do not feel ready, declare it. Inspire others by showing that courage is not a feeling, it is a choice. And if you know someone waiting endlessly for the perfect moment, share this with them. You may help them step into life today. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep building lives of movement, momentum, and fearless action. Chapter 9. Emergency Protocols: Calming the Storm in the Moment. No matter how strong your mindset becomes, there will be days when anxiety roars louder than reason. Days when your chest tightens, your heart races, and your thoughts spiral so fast you cannot catch them. In those moments, all the wisdom in the world feels far away. You do not need long lectures or deep philosophies. You need tools you can use now. You need an emergency protocol, a way to calm the storm before it sweeps you away. An emergency protocol is not about erasing fear forever. It is about creating a lifeline in the middle of panic. It is about having simple actions ready and practiced that remind you, I am not powerless. I am not trapped. I can bring myself back. Just as a pilot has procedures for turbulence, you can have practices for the turbulence of your own mind. The first tool is breathing. Not shallow, frantic breaths, but slow, intentional ones. When panic rises, your body forgets how to breathe. Your chest tightens, your breath shortens, and your mind interprets it as danger. But when you slow your breath, you send your body a new signal. I am safe. Try this. Inhale deeply for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale slowly for 6. Repeat. Within minutes, your body begins to soften. Your heart slows, your thoughts quiet. Breathing is not magic, it is biology. It is reclaiming the power to calm your nervous system when fear hijacks it. The second tool is grounding. Anxiety thrives on imagination. What if, what if, what if? Grounding pulls you back to reality, to the present moment. Look around. Name 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. As you name them, your mind returns to now. And in the now, fear often loses its teeth. The third tool is movement. Panic traps you in stillness. Your body freezes, your mind races, and the energy builds with nowhere to go. Movement releases it. Stand up, walk, stretch, shake your hands, run if you can, do push-ups, dance, pace the room. It does not matter what, only that you remind your body it is not stuck. Movement tells your nervous system, the danger is not real, I am free to move, and freedom of body often creates freedom of mind. The fourth tool is naming the fear. Anxiety grows in silence. When you keep it inside, it feels endless, undefined, unbearable. But when you name it, I am afraid of failing this test. I am afraid of being judged. I am afraid of losing control. You shrink it. You separate yourself from it. It is no longer the air you breathe. It is a single thought you can hold, examine, question. Naming does not solve everything, but it brings clarity, and clarity breaks the spell of panic. I once knew a young man who suffered sudden panic attacks. He said, "When it hits, I feel like I am dying. My mind tells me I cannot breathe, that I will collapse." For years, he tried to think his way out, but logic did nothing in the storm. Then he created his own emergency protocol. Step 1, sit down and place his hand on his chest. Step 2, breathe slowly in rhythm. Step 3, say out loud, "This is anxiety. It feels dangerous, but it is not." Step 4, move, stand, stretch, pace. He practiced it again and again until it became instinct. And one day when the panic returned, he used the steps. To his surprise, the storm passed quicker. He said, "It did not control me anymore. I had a way back." That is the gift of protocols. They do not erase fear, but they give you a path through it. They remind you that panic is not endless, that you have tools, that you are not helpless. But there is one more tool, the most powerful of all: compassion. Too often when anxiety strikes, we add another layer of suffering by judging ourselves. Why am I like this? Why can I not handle it? I am weak. I am broken. These words cut deeper than the fear itself. Compassion is choosing a different response. It is saying, "This is hard, but I am human. Fear does not make me weak. It makes me alive, and I can walk through it." Compassion softens the storm. It gives you strength to keep practicing the other tools even when fear is strong. So how do you create your own emergency protocol? Begin by choosing 3 simple actions that calm you most. Breathing, grounding, movement, naming, or another that works for you. Write them down. Practice them when you are calm so they become instinct when you are not. Tell yourself, "When panic comes, I am ready. I have my tools." The preparation itself creates confidence, and confidence weakens fear. Life will still bring storms. Anxiety will still knock. But with an emergency protocol, you no longer fear the knock. You know you can open the door, use your tools, and guide yourself back to peace. You are no longer at the mercy of fear, you are stronger than it. So let me ask you, what are the 3 tools you will include in your emergency protocol? Write them, commit to them, practice them, because when the storm comes, you will not have time to invent a plan. You will need to act. And the plan you prepare today will be the lifeline you grab tomorrow. Remember, fear is not fatal. Panic is not endless. You are not powerless. You have tools, you have strength, you have a way back to calm. If this chapter resonates with you, comment below. What will be in your emergency protocol? Share it. You may give someone else the exact tool they need. And if you know someone struggling with panic, share this with them. You may hand them their first lifeline. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep building resilience, not by avoiding storms, but by walking through them with courage and calm. Chapter 10. Decision Training. Building the Muscle of Clarity. Overthinking thrives on weak decision-making. The less you trust yourself to decide, the more your mind circles, replays, and analyzes. Each choice feels enormous. Each option feels dangerous, and so you hesitate, waiting for certainty that never arrives. But decision-making is not a gift some are born with, and others are not. It is a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows stronger with practice. Think of how you learned to walk. You did not wait until you were certain you would never fall. You stumbled, you fell, you tried again. Each attempt trained your muscles until walking became natural. Decision-making is no different. The more you practice, the stronger you become. But if you avoid decisions, the muscle weakens. Choices feel heavier, fear grows stronger, and the cycle of overthinking deepens. Decision training begins with small choices. Too often we waste energy on the trivial because we fear making mistakes. What to wear, what to eat, what to say, we overanalyze even the simplest decisions. But simplicity is the training ground. By deciding quickly on the small things, you teach your mind a new habit: trust. Trust that even if the choice is not perfect, you can handle it. Trust that no decision defines you. Trust that life moves forward regardless. I once knew a man who struggled with making even the smallest decisions. Ordering food at a restaurant filled him with panic. He would stare at the menu for 20 minutes, fearing he would regret his choice. He finally began practicing decision training. Each time he gave himself 30 seconds to choose. No second guessing, no backtracking. At first it felt terrifying, but over time it became liberating. He laughed and said, "I realize the meal is done in an hour anyway. Why waste so much life on it?" The principle is this: start small, build confidence, then apply it to larger choices. Soon the muscle grows. What once felt impossible begins to feel natural. But decision training is not only about speed, it is about clarity. Too often we think we lack information when really we lack courage. Clarity does not mean knowing everything, it means knowing enough to act. You rarely need more information, you need more trust. Ask yourself, do I know enough to take the next step? If the answer is yes, then choose. The rest will unfold in time. Another practice is setting limits. Overthinking thrives in endlessness. If you give yourself unlimited time to decide, your mind will use it all. But if you set boundaries, you create focus. Give yourself a deadline: I will decide by tonight. I will choose within 5 minutes. I will not revisit this once chosen. Limits turn decision-making from an endless spiral into a clear path. I remember a woman who dreamed of switching careers but delayed for years. She researched endlessly, compared every option, replayed every fear. Finally, she gave herself 30 days to decide. She said, "By the end of this month, I will choose. Not because I know everything, but because I know enough." When the day arrived, she chose. And though it was not perfect, she discovered freedom in the act itself. She said later, "I spent years thinking, but it was the decision that moved me forward." The truth is, no decision guarantees a perfect outcome. Some choices will bring challenges. Some will bring regret. But every decision brings growth. Every decision teaches you something. And the only way to avoid mistakes is to avoid living. Decision training also means learning to release regret. Overthinking thrives on replaying the past, asking, "What if I had chosen differently?" But regret is a thief. You cannot change the past. You can only learn from it. The next time your mind replays a decision, pause and say, "I chose with the knowledge I had then. Now I know more, and I will choose differently next time." This shift turns regret into wisdom and frees you from endless replays. Another practice is values-based decision-making. When choices feel overwhelming, return to your core values. Ask yourself, does this choice align with who I want to be? Does it move me closer to the life I want? When decisions align with values, even imperfect outcomes feel meaningful. Fear loses its grip because you know you are walking in truth. I once met a leader who faced a decision that could cost him popularity but would preserve his integrity. He agonized, replayed, doubted. But finally he asked, "What choice honors my values?" The answer was clear. He made the hard decision, faced the criticism, and said, "I lost approval, but I kept my soul." And that is the only decision I will never regret. So how do you begin your own decision training? Start with one small choice today. Decide quickly. Do not revisit it. Notice how the world keeps turning, how your worth remains untouched, how your confidence grows. Then move to larger choices. Set deadlines. Ask what aligns with your values. And when regret whispers, turn it into wisdom. Over time, the muscle grows. What once felt impossible becomes natural. You stop circling choices endlessly. You stop demanding perfection before you move. You stop giving fear the final word. You begin to trust yourself, and that trust changes everything. So let me ask you, what decision have you been delaying? What choice have you been replaying instead of living? Write it down. Give yourself a deadline. Choose, and then move forward, not because you are certain, but because you are free. 1 year from now, you will not regret the imperfect decisions you made. You will regret the ones you avoided. Do not let overthinking steal another year from you. Train your decision-making muscle. Choose, live, grow. If this chapter speaks to you, pause and comment below. What is one decision you will make this week as part of your decision training? Share it. You may inspire someone else to make theirs. And if you know someone paralyzed by choices, share this with them. You may help them rediscover their power. And remember to subscribe so that together we continue building clarity, trust, and freedom, one decision at a time. Chapter 11. Training your focus, mastering attention in a distracted world. The greatest currency you own is not time, but attention. Time passes whether you use it well or not. But attention is what turns time into meaning. Whatever you give your focus to, you feed. Whatever you starve of attention withers. The tragedy of our world today is not only that we are busy, but that our attention is scattered, fragmented into countless pieces, pulled in every direction, and drained by things that do not matter. Overthinking thrives in distraction. When your attention is divided, your thoughts multiply without control. You bounce from one idea to another, never finishing, never settling, never finding peace. It is like living in a house with 100 open windows. Noise rushes in from every direction. No wonder you feel restless. No wonder your mind never quiets. Focus is the discipline of closing the windows and listening to what matters most. But focus does not come naturally. Your mind is designed to wander. Your world is designed to pull it. Notifications, advertisements, endless scrolling everywhere you look, someone is fighting for your attention. If you do not train it, your focus will always belong to others. Training your focus is reclaiming ownership of your own mind. The first step is awareness. Notice where your attention goes. At the end of a day, ask yourself, what did I give my focus to? Did it feed me or drain me? Did it move me closer to my values or distract me from them? Most people never ask these questions. They wonder why they feel anxious, restless, and unfulfilled, never realizing that their attention was stolen by things unworthy of it. Awareness is the beginning of freedom. The second step is elimination. Focus is not about doing more, it is about doing less. It is about cutting away the noise, the distractions, the endless clutter. The anxious mind loves clutter because clutter keeps you spinning. But clarity comes from simplicity. Decide what matters most and let the rest fall away. This is not laziness, it is wisdom. A laser is powerful because it is concentrated. Your mind is the same. The third step is practice. Focus is a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens with repetition. Choose one task, one thought, one activity, and give it your full attention. When your mind wanders, gently return. Do not judge yourself. Do not demand perfection. Just return again and again. Over time, the muscle grows. What once felt impossible becomes natural. I once knew a student who struggled with studying because his attention scattered every few minutes. He said, "I cannot focus. My mind jumps constantly." I encouraged him to start with five minutes. 5 minutes of complete focus, then a short break. Slowly, he increased to 10, then 20, then an hour. He laughed one day and said, "The funny thing is, my brain was never broken. It was just untrained." That is the truth for all of us. The fourth step is presence. Focus is not only about tasks, it is about life itself. When you eat, eat. When you speak, listen. When you walk, notice. Presence is the art of giving your full attention to the moment you are in instead of drifting into the past or future. Overthinking robs you of presence because it drags you into imagined worlds. But life is only lived here now. Each time you return to presence, you reclaim your life from fear. Focus also requires boundaries. The anxious mind fears missing out, so it says yes to everything. But every yes is also a no. Every commitment you add divides your attention further. Boundaries are the courage to protect your focus, to say no to what does not align, to choose depth over breadth. Shallow living multiplies overthinking. Deep living silences it. I once met a woman who was overwhelmed because she said yes to every request: work, friends, family. She was exhausted, scattered, anxious. Then she began practicing boundaries. She chose 3 priorities and said no to the rest. At first, guilt consumed her, but then peace grew. She said, "For the first time in years, I feel like my life belongs to me again." Boundaries are not selfish, they are the soil where focus blooms. So how do you begin training your focus today? Choose one simple ritual. Perhaps it is starting your morning without your phone. Perhaps it is dedicating 30 minutes to one task without interruption. Perhaps it is journaling each evening, asking, "Where did my attention go today?" Rituals anchor focus in reality. The anxious mind will resist. It will say, "What if I miss something? What if I fall behind?" But the truth is, distraction costs more than missing out. Ever will. Distraction steals depth, creativity, peace. Focus gives them back. And the more you practice, the more you will discover focus is freedom. So let me ask you, where has your attention been scattered? What distractions are draining you? What one practice can you begin today to train your focus and reclaim your mind? Write it down. Do it, and notice how clarity begins to replace chaos. One day you will look back and the life you built will not be the result of random distractions. It will be the result of what you chose to focus on. Choose wisely, train deeply, live fully. If this chapter speaks to you, comment below. What is one distraction you will release this week to train your focus? Share it. Inspire others to do the same. And if you know someone lost in endless noise, share this with them. You may help them rediscover their peace. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep building a life of clarity, depth, and attention in a world that demands our distraction. Chapter 12. Reframing failure, turning mistakes into momentum. Failure. The word alone carries weight like a stone on your chest. From childhood, we are taught to avoid it, to fear it, to treat it as proof that we are not enough. In school, mistakes are punished. In society, failure is whispered about, hidden away. And so we grow up believing that to fail is to be broken, to be less, to be unworthy. No wonder overthinking grips us so tightly. We are terrified of taking a step that might lead to falling. But here is the deeper truth: failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the soil success grows from. Every achievement, every breakthrough, every masterpiece is built on a foundation of mistakes. Those who seem fearless are not people who never fail. They are people who have reframed failure. They do not see it as an end, but as a beginning. Not as a verdict, but as a teacher. Not as shame, but as momentum. Think of a child learning to ride a bicycle. They wobble, they fall, they scrape their knees. Yet no one calls them a failure. We know the falls are part of the process. The scraped knees are not proof they cannot ride, they are proof they are learning. The same is true for every area of life. The problem is not failure itself, it is the story we tell ourselves about it. Overthinking magnifies failure into catastrophe. It whispers, if you fail, you will be judged. If you fail, you will lose everything. If you fail, you will never recover. And so you hesitate, paralyzed by the fear of mistakes. But notice, most failures are not fatal. Most are not even permanent. They sting, yes, but they teach. They redirect. They refine. And often they prepare you for successes far greater than you imagined. I once met a man who had lost his job unexpectedly. At first, he was crushed. He told himself, I am worthless. I have failed my family. For months, he spiraled in shame, but slowly he began to reframe. He asked, what if this is not the end, but the doorway? He began learning new skills, applying to new fields. Years later, he looked back and said, losing that job was the best thing that happened to me. It forced me to grow, to change, to discover strengths I never knew I had. His failure became his turning point. Reframing failure begins with a simple shift. Instead of asking, what did I lose, ask, what did I learn? Every failure carries a lesson, but only if you choose to see it. Sometimes the lesson is practical, a strategy that did not work, a step you overlooked. Sometimes it is deeper resilience, humility, patience. Either way, the failure is not wasted, it is transformed. The second shift is to see failure as feedback, not identity. Too often we tie our worth to our outcomes. When we succeed, we feel valuable. When we fail, we feel worthless. But your worth is not a scoreboard. Failure is feedback about a choice, not a verdict about your value. The anxious mind confuses the two, but you must separate them. You are not your mistakes. You are the person who learns from them. The third shift is to use failure as fuel. When you stumble, let it push you forward, not backward. Athletes know this truth well. Every loss fuels their training. Every mistake sharpens their focus. They do not quit because of failure, they rise because of it. You can do the same. Instead of asking, why me, ask what now. That one question transforms despair into momentum. I once spoke with a young woman who launched a small business that collapsed within a year. She was devastated, convinced she was not cut out for success. But instead of quitting, she reframed. She asked, what if this was not wasted time but training? She studied what went wrong, adjusted her approach, and tried again. Her second business flourished. She told me I would not be where I am now if I had not failed first. The failure was the foundation. Here is the irony. The people you admire most, the ones who inspire you with their success, are often the ones who have failed most. They dared more, tried more, risked more. Their secret is not avoiding failure, it is embracing it. They do not fear mistakes because they know mistakes are the path to mastery. So how do you begin reframing failure in your own life? Start by naming one mistake you still carry shame about. Write it down, then ask yourself, what did this teach me? How did this shape me? What strength grew in me because of this? See it not as a scar, but as a seed, not as evidence of weakness, but as proof of courage. You tried, you stepped, you lived. The anxious mind will resist. It will replay the past, magnify the shame, whisper that you are broken. But you are not broken. You are being built. Every failure is a stone laid in the foundation of the life you are creating. You only lose if you refuse to learn. So let me ask you, what failure are you ready to reframe today? What mistake can you transform from shame into strength, from regret into wisdom, from ending into beginning? Write it down, speak it out, claim it, because the story you tell about your failure determines whether it imprisons you or propels you. One day you will look back and you will not see a trail of disasters. You will see a path of growth. You will see that every failure was a step, every mistake a teacher, every stumble a preparation. You will see that you did not fall, you were climbing all along. If this chapter speaks to you, pause and comment below. What is one failure you are ready to reframe as momentum? Share it. You may give someone else the courage to reframe theirs. And if you know someone trapped in shame, share this with them. You may hand them the key to freedom. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep building lives not free of failure, but rich with growth, wisdom, and unstoppable momentum. Chapter 13. The Discipline of Letting Go, Freedom Beyond Control. One of the heaviest burdens the anxious mind carries is the need to control. It whispers, if I plan enough, if I predict enough, if I prepare enough, then I will be safe. And so you hold tightly to outcomes, tightly to people, tightly to every detail of life. But the tighter you hold, the more restless you become. Because control, no matter how hard you chase it, is an illusion. Overthinking is born from this illusion. You believe that if you think long enough, you will prevent mistakes. If you worry deeply enough, you will stop loss. If you replay every detail, you will secure certainty. But has that ever truly worked? The truth is, worry does not prevent pain, it multiplies it. Control does not bring freedom, it steals it. Letting go is not giving up. It is not passivity or carelessness. Letting go is choosing freedom over fear. It is choosing to release what you cannot control so that you can focus your strength on what you can. It is saying, I cannot command every storm, but I can learn how to sail. I once met a woman whose son was moving away for college. She was consumed with worry. What if he struggles? What if he fails? What if something happens to him? She tried to plan, to control, to cling. But in her clinging, she suffocated both herself and her son. Finally, she realized she could not live his life for him. She could only love him, guide him, and trust him. She said, the day I let go was the day I found peace. I realized my job was not to control every outcome, but to be a steady presence no matter what came. Letting go begins with clarity. What is within my control and what is not? You cannot control the future, but you can control your choices today. You cannot control others, but you can control how you love, how you listen, how you respond. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control your effort, your integrity, your courage. Freedom begins the moment you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. The anxious mind will resist. It will say, if I stop worrying, everything will fall apart. But notice, has your worrying ever held the world together? Life moves forward whether you obsess or not. The sun rises, the seasons change, people grow. Control is not what keeps life alive, trust is. Think of holding sand in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more slips through your fingers. But when you open your hand, the sand rests gently. Control is the tight fist. Letting go is the open hand. Only with openness can you hold life without losing it. The discipline of letting go requires trust. Trust in yourself that you can handle whatever comes. Trust in others that they can walk their own journeys. Trust in life that even in uncertainty, beauty can emerge. Trust does not mean you will never feel fear. It means you choose faith in the face of fear. I once knew a man who lost his business after years of building it. At first, he fought to control everything, blaming himself, forcing solutions, refusing to accept the loss. The more he clung, the deeper he sank into despair. Finally, in exhaustion, he let go. He said, I realized my business was gone, but I was not. I could start again. I could rebuild. That surrender was not defeat, it was liberation. From that place, he began anew, wiser and freer. Letting go is a discipline because it must be practiced daily. Each day you are tempted to cling. Each day you are tempted to replay what-ifs. But each day you also have the chance to release. When you feel the grip tightening, pause and ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If no, release. That one question can save you hours of torment. Another practice is surrender through breath. When your mind races with things you cannot control, breathe deeply. And as you exhale, imagine releasing the burden. Say to yourself, this is not mine to carry. The body teaches the mind what freedom feels like. And perhaps the deepest practice is gratitude. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you cannot control to what you have been given. Each time you name something you are thankful for, fear loses its grip. Gratitude is letting go by embracing the present. So let me ask you, what are you holding too tightly today? What outcome, what relationship, what fear are you trying to control? Write it down and then ask, is this mine to carry? If not, release it. Choose freedom over fear. One day you will look back, and the peace you remember will not come from moments when everything went according to plan. It will come from moments when you surrendered, when you trusted, when you opened your hand. Because life is not about controlling every detail. It is about living fully in the midst of uncertainty. If this chapter speaks to you, pause and comment below. What is one thing you are ready to let go of today? Share it. You may inspire someone else to release their burden too. And if you know someone trapped by control, share this with them. You may hand them the key to peace. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep practicing the discipline of letting go, finding freedom not in control but in trust. Chapter 14. Mindset Reset. Reclaiming your inner authority. Every journey of transformation reaches a moment of reckoning, a moment when you must pause, reflect, and reset. Up to this point, you have gathered insights, learned strategies, and practiced new habits. But knowledge without a reset remains shallow. To truly change, you must rewire the way you see yourself. You must reclaim your inner authority, the deep truth that your mind is not your master, but your servant. For too long, the anxious and overthinking mind has played the role of tyrant. It dictates your emotions, questions every step, second guesses every choice. It fills your days with what if and not enough. It convinces you that your worth depends on your performance, your outcomes, your perfection. And you obey, forgetting that you were never meant to live as a prisoner of your own thoughts. This is the purpose of the reset: to break allegiance with fear, to dethrone anxiety, and to reclaim your authority over your own mind. The first step of the reset is awareness. Notice how your mind speaks to you. Whose voice does it sound like? Is it kind or critical? Is it empowering or paralyzing? Most of us live our lives listening to thoughts as if they are absolute truth, when in reality they are habits. Echoes, old recordings. The reset begins by questioning who gave this thought authority. If it does not lead to peace, courage, and clarity, it does not deserve the throne. The second step is challenge. Every limiting belief must be brought into the light. I am not enough. I cannot handle failure. I must be perfect. If I let go of control, everything will collapse. Write them down, look at them, speak them aloud, and then challenge them. Ask, is this absolutely true, or is this fear pretending to be truth? Most of the time, you will find that the chains binding you were made of smoke. The third step is replacement. It is not enough to tear down lies. You must build new truths in their place. For every belief of fear, speak a belief of power. I am not enough becomes I am learning, growing, becoming. I cannot handle failure becomes failure is my teacher. I must be perfect becomes progress is my path. If I let go, everything collapses becomes letting go is where I find freedom. These are not empty affirmations. They are weapons. Each time you choose them, you rewire your brain, building new pathways of strength. The fourth step is embodiment. A reset is not just thinking differently, it is living differently. Choose one action today that aligns with your new mindset. If your new truth is courage, take the step you have delayed. If your new truth is freedom, release the burden you have carried. If your new truth is presence, put down your phone and give your full attention to the moment in front of you. Transformation does not live in theory, it lives in practice. I once knew a man who lived his whole life under the weight of I am not enough. It colored every decision, every relationship, every dream. One day he began his reset. He wrote the lie on a piece of paper, then burned it, saying aloud, "This no longer rules me." In its place, he chose a new truth: I am becoming. Each morning he spoke it. Each day he acted on it. Slowly his posture changed. His choices shifted. His life opened. He said later, the lie did not leave overnight. But each time I chose the truth, the lie grew weaker. And one day I realized it no longer owned me. That is the power of the mindset reset. It is not a single moment, it is a discipline. Each day you choose to reclaim authority. Each day you choose which thoughts to believe and which to release. Each day you practice living from truth instead of fear. So pause now. Reflect. What lies have ruled your mind? What fears have shaped your choices? What chains have kept you circling the same doubts? Write them down. Then declare, this ends here. I reclaim my mind. I choose a new way of seeing. This declaration is not magic, but it is the beginning of freedom. The anxious mind will resist. It will whisper, you cannot change. This is who you are. You will always be trapped. But remember, thoughts are not destiny. They are habits. And habits can be broken. You are not a prisoner. You are the one holding the key. The reset is your chance to step into a new identity. Not someone who never feels fear, but someone who no longer obeys it. Not someone who never fails, but someone who rises each time. Not someone who controls everything, but someone who trusts deeply, lives fully, and moves forward bravely. So let me ask you, are you ready to reset? Are you ready to stop listening to the tyrant of fear and start living from the authority within you? Then declare it today. Choose one new truth. Choose one new action. Begin now. One day you will look back and see this reset as the turning point, the moment you stopped being a victim of your thoughts and became the author of your life. Do not wait. The reset is not tomorrow, it is now. If this chapter speaks to you, pause and comment below, what is one lie you are ready to replace? With truth today, share it. You may help someone else begin their reset. And if you know someone living under the weight of anxious thoughts, share this with them. You may hand them the courage to reclaim their mind. And remember to subscribe so that together we keep building lives of freedom, clarity, and inner authority. Chapter 15, The Final Call, Living the Life You Were Meant to Embody. There comes a moment when reflection must become decision, and decision must become action. You have walked through this journey through awareness and discipline, through fear and freedom, through letting go and reclaiming your authority. You have seen that overthinking is not destiny. Anxiety is not your identity. Fear is not your ruler. They are voices that grew too loud, habits that became chains. But chains can be broken. And now the choice is in your hands. This final call is not an ending, it is a beginning. The beginning of a life lived awake, alive, and free. The beginning of a life where you no longer delay your dreams, waiting for perfect certainty. The beginning of a life where you trust yourself to act, to stumble, to rise, to grow. The beginning of a life where you no longer give your attention to endless what-ifs, but to the beauty and power of now. The truth is simple, yet fierce. No one can live this life for you. No one can silence your anxious mind but you. No one can step forward into your future but you. You can gather wisdom, read books, hear stories, listen to mentors. But at the end of it all, the next breath, the next choice, the next action is yours. This is both the weight and the wonder of freedom. You do not need to wait until you feel ready. You do not need to wait until fear disappears. You do not need to wait for perfect clarity. You can begin now, messy, trembling, uncertain, because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward in the presence of fear, and when you move, you will discover a secret: the fear was never as powerful as it claimed. I once spoke with a woman who had spent years overthinking every decision. She told me I wasted half my life waiting to feel ready, waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect version of myself. Then one day, in exhaustion, she whispered to herself, "What if I just begin as I am?" That small question changed everything. She acted, she failed, she learned, she grew, and years later she said, "The life I was waiting for began the moment I stopped waiting." That is the invitation of this final call. Stop waiting. Begin as you are. Begin today. The anxious mind will whisper its old chorus, "What if you fail? What if you regret it? What if you are not enough?" But you have heard these lies before, and you know now how to answer. You answer with action. You answer with truth. You answer with the unshakable resolve that life is too precious to waste in hesitation. Do not measure your life by perfection. Measure it by presence. Did you show up fully? Did you love deeply? Did you act bravely? Did you live freely? These are the questions that matter. At the end of your days, it will not be your flawless plans that bring peace. It will be the moments when you dared, when you chose, when you embraced imperfection and found joy anyway. Imagine yourself years from now looking back. Do you want to see a life lived in the shadows of what if? Or do you want to see a life lived in the light of, I did? The future you long for is not waiting for permission. It is waiting for your decision. So I ask you now, as clearly as I can, what will you do with your one life? Will you keep circling in thought, or will you step forward in courage? Will you remain captive to fear, or will you embody freedom? Will you waste another year waiting, or will you begin today? The final call is this live. Live with presence, live with courage, live with trust, live with momentum, live with freedom. One day you will tell your story. You will tell of the fears that once ruled you, the chains that once bound you, the nights you lay awake drowning in what-ifs. But you will also tell of the moment you decided to reset, to reclaim, to rise. And others will listen, and they will find courage in your story. Because courage is contagious. Freedom is contagious. Life is contagious. So let your life be the proof. Not that you never feared, but that you never let fear decide. Not that you never stumbled, but that you always rose. Not that you were perfect, but that you were present. Not that you waited, but that you lived. If you have walked this far with me, you already know the truth. You are stronger than your thoughts, braver than your fears, freer than your past. The anxious mind does not define you, you define it. The overthinking loop is not your master, you are its breaker. You are not fragile glass, you are unshakable flame, and the world needs your fire. So rise, step forward, begin. The time is not tomorrow, it is now. The life you were meant to embody begins the moment you choose it, and that moment is here. If these words stir something in you, comment below what step will you take today to answer the final call. Share it, and you may inspire someone else to take theirs. And if you know someone who has been waiting too long, trapped in their anxious mind, share this with them. You may hand them the courage they have been searching for. And remember to subscribe so that together we continue not only learning these truths, but living them. This is the final call. Do not ignore it. Do not delay it. Embody it. Live it.